Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, which is entitled as Sannyasa Yoga. Sloka 3, Part 2. Tyājyaṁ doṣa-vad karma prāhur manīṣiṇaḥ yajña-dāna-tapaḥ-karma tyājyaṁ iti cāpare. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty, yet other sages maintained that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. In the previous session we learnt how the Sankhya philosophy, who doesn't accept the Vedas, and Ishvara rejects the karmas mentioned in the Vedas. The reason was it involves himsa, violence. Killing animals makes one contaminated. Therefore, one should not do the karmas mentioned in the Vedas. What about nitya-naimittika karma? That also equally bad because it creates attachment, aversion, ego, pride, etc. In today's session, we will learn what Shankara philosophies talks about these things. Shankara philosophy is Advaitam. There is no second. Brahman, the absolute truth, is the only existing entity. Everything else is Maya. Everything else is illusion, not true. Therefore, they are also known as Mayavadis. Shankara appeared to establish the Vedas, re-establish the Vedas. Therefore, it's obvious that the philosophy is based on Shastra. The philosophy believes Ishvara, unlike the Sankhya philosophy, where they do not agree to Shastra, they do not agree to Ishvara. But as we said earlier, Shankara also agrees that we should not be doing the karma that's mentioned in the Vedas. The reason is different. The reason is it doesn't give aikya-jnana, rather develops bheda darshana. Let's understand these terms. Shankara's philosophy is ekam, advaitam. Ekam means one, advaitam means there is no second, only one exists. When we perform the karmas, everything is with bhedam. Bhedam means we can see the differences. The performer, the process, one who is performing the yajna, the result, the articles that are used for the yajna. Therefore, it creates bheda darshanam. It differentiates things. It makes one to see there are a lot of things, not one, which is against to the philosophy of Advaitam. Rather, whatever one does, it has to bring aikya-jnanam, meaning there is only one. There is only one truth. There is no second. There is only one Atma. There is no second Atma. We covered in detail about this philosophy, Advaita philosophy, in 5th chapter, Sloka 7, starting part 4, and also in few other places. Those who want to refresh, kindly refer to those recordings. So the reason that one should give up the karmas as per Shankara is not because it has dosha, because Shankara does not agree to that one. He doesn't agree to the point that killing of animals is violence. But his point is, by doing these karmas, it develops more of bhedam, differences between things, which is not the philosophy as per Shankara. Therefore, he says one should give up all the karmas mentioned in the Vedas. Just something to be noted here, as per the Advaita philosophy, only sannyasis can attain moksha. One who has officially renounced everything and taken up the renounced order of life, they are the sannyasis. Only they can attain moksha, liberation, no one else. There are some differences between the Advaita sannyasis and Vaishnava sannyasis. Out of many things, there's one thing which is common, is they both accept the Vedas. The differences are shikai, the tuft of hair, not for Advaita sannyasis. They completely shave their head, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis do have the shika. The Advaita sannyasis carries a danda, a wooden rod, which is known as ekadanda. It only has one rod, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis carries tridanda. It will have 3 rods clubbed together. Advaita sannyasis do not wear the sacred thread, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis do wear the sacred thread. Advaita sannyasis does not need to follow any karmas, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasi continues to follow all the karmas. As per Advaita philosophy, moksha is only for sannyasis, whereas as per Vaishnava philosophy, moksha is for any ashramas and for any varnas, provided they do sharanagati, surrender to the Lord. The Lord does not see the varna or ashrama for those who surrender. He gives moksha to anyone who surrenders unto him. Now an important question comes. If it is only sannyasis who get moksha as per the Advaita philosophy, then what about the grahasthas who follows Advaitam? Do they also have to give up karmas, give up the sacred thread, give up the shikai, etc.? According to Advaita philosophy, yes, only sannyasis are eligible to attain moksha, not the householders or even brahmacharis. That is why in their philosophy there is a concept called apat sannyasa, meaning taking sannyasa on an emergency basis. A grahastha, for example, who is going to leave the body must accept the apat sannyasa if he is interested in attaining moksha. He will be provided with ekadandam and a saffron cloth on top of the body. So the question is, if the karmas needs to be given up as per the Shankara philosophy, then why does the grahasthas who follow the Shankara philosophy, Advaitis, does karma? Why do they go to temple? Why do they get engaged in certain activities, ritualistic activities, if that is not what meant to be done by them? Well, there are two things. One is called Saguna Brahma, another one is called Nirguna Brahma. As for Shankara's philosophy, one must continue doing all the karmas that's mentioned in the Vedas. As they mature in their spiritual path, then they should give up the karmas. Initially, one should worship the Brahman, the absolute truth, in the form, name, qualities, etc. But then as they mature, then they have to come to the stage of Nirguna Brahman, meaning in reality the absolute truth, which is called as God, doesn't have form, name, qualities, etc. Grahasthas are a step lower in the rung, in the ladder compared to the sannyasis. Sannyasis are in the higher spiritual state. Until the grahasthas mature in their consciousness, they must continue performing these karmas. But once they mature, then they are ready to accept sannyasa, then they can give up these karmas after taking sannyas. So the criteria are quite stringent. To attain moksha, one must be a man. He must be born in a Brahmana family. he should have practiced all the karmas and attained the maturity of Nirguna Brahman. Then he should give up all the karmas by taking up sannyasa. Then only moksha comes into picture, not otherwise. So, both Sankhya and Shankara said the same thing, that give up the karmas. But the reason they said varies. Sankhya said, because it is full of faults. It has dosha. Whereas Shankara said, it is not of any faults, but it gives one a Bheda Darshana, rather cultivating one's consciousness in Aikya-jnana. So that covers the first half of the third sloka, tyājyaṁ doṣa-vad karma prāhur manīṣiṇaḥ. In our next session, we will learn the second half of the sloka, yajña-dāna-tapaḥ-karma tyājyaṁ iti cāpare. That is, one should not give up any karmas, nitya, naimitika, kamya karmas. This may sound similar to the type 2 that we saw in the second sloka, second part, where it is said one should perform all the three karmas. The reason was, it is mentioned in the Vedas, and one can still perform all the three karmas renouncing the fruits. That was the reason given when we studied the second type. Over here in the fourth type, it says one should do all the three karmas, nitya, naimitika, kamya karma. But not for the reason that type 2 said. The reason over here is to deny the type 3. Type 3 said everything is of fault, whereas type 4 says no, there is nothing of fault. Therefore, one can perform all the three karmas. We'll learn about the details in the next session. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.